Welcome again to Ham Radio Perspectives. I am Quin, K8QS.
And I'm Tom, WA9TDD.
So, Tom, we just recorded a video on your $16 homebrew vertical. And we're going to go from that to what if you wanted to get, let's say, 3 verticals that are very pricey. You've got cash burning a hole in your pocket, but you want to get a really good vertical. And you want to perform well. It may or may not need radials. We're going to talk about each of these models. But so what we did was to cull through the pricier verticals. We've not done middle range yet. We'll do that later. And say, what are 3 real pricey but high performance HF verticals? So they get good performance reviews. And we'll talk a little bit about how they're made, some of the issues if you're going to buy one of these and put it up yourself, what to look for there. And so that's what we're all about. We're not saying that one of these is better than another. We're not presenting them in some order. And we're not saying you have to buy any of these in order to do well with a vertical antenna. Okay. But we did want to look at these ourselves because partly we're intrigued by how these work differently, because there's some interesting design stuff there. But we needed criteria to use. So what criteria are we using, Tom?
Okay, well, vertical antennas, they're kind of like circus performers. Some are strong, some are flexible, some are mostly decorative. But the real question is, which ones actually perform well as base antennas? These aren't portable sticks. These aren't mobile antennas, although one can be used as a portable.
Right.
They're not tuner-dependent travel toys. We're talking real HF verticals that you can mount in your yard. All of these meet our criteria. And the criteria is to figure out the best. We're going to use the same criteria engineers use, not marketing hype.
Okay.
And the major point is radiation efficiency. This is the antenna's willingness to actually do its job instead of turning your RF into, warm aluminum. You got toasters for that. A good radial vertical radiates. A bad vertical, just kind of simmers. Another major consideration is durability. Will it survive an Indiana winter? God, who knows? Or will it fold like a cheap lawn chair at a family reunion? Another consideration is ground system compatibility. Some vertical antennas want, 32 radials. Others are happy with whatever you can sneak under the lawn without your spouse noticing. Resonance and band coverage. Does it cover the bands you actually use? Or does it brag about 80 meters while performing like a wet noodle? And fifth, matching network quality. Is the transformer a hero, if it has one? Or is it just a tiny furnace?
Tom, I think we got to get you signed up for a late night TV show on ham radio.
There's an idea.
You're such a good writer on this stuff. Okay, so now let's get into it. Those are our criteria. I'll pick up the first one because this is the one that really interests me the most of all of these, and that's the Gap Titan DX. Whenever you put DX into the title of an antenna, it must be good. What was that, Smuckers? It must taste good.
Was it Smuckers or was it Gotham Antenna? The DXK?
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. Go on. So here's a quick look at it. I know it's hard on the slide to make sense of this, so we needed to get a little bit further into it beyond this. And this is really good. So this is the no radial innovator. Look at that diagram there and look at the different colors. It's asymmetrical, center-fed vertical. You heard me right, center-fed. It's a vertical dipole in a sense. Its claim to fame is it does not require traditional buried ground radial system. By handling the counterpoise natively in its design and using rigid drop wire structure, it provides a multi-band coverage in this highly compact footprint. So making it a lifesaver for hams with terrible soil conductivity or limited space, and that includes a lot of us. So I'm trying to figure out how to explain this to people, Tom, in the simplest way. Basically, what you have here is a series of vertical dipoles, like it's vertical fan dipole. So you've got these different rods coming up, and then you've also got the ground plane type thing around it too. And you can see which of these adds capacitance or inductance for different bands. All right. So it's very interesting. There's what it actually looks like in the field. This is from the website for it. Again, they say no radials required, and multi-band coverage 80 through 10 meters. It's designed to operate efficiently. Tom talked about this across all the bands without the need for a manual antenna tuner. Although I guess I would say with some rigs, solid state rigs, that you might want to use the antenna tuner in it if that rig is very sensitive to a high SWR, even a moderate SWR. The design, it's a complex arrangement of linear loading tuning rods and an internal coaxial tuning stub and a split radial insulator. Okay. Now, what about power on this thing? They say 1500 watts PEP, but note that it cannot be run continuously at maximum power on 75 or 80 meters with modes like RIDI or whatever. So that's what it is, Tom. Let me show another couple pictures here, and then let's talk about it. Notice on this, one of the criteria Tom talked about is whether or not this thing can withstand the elements, so to speak. And here you see it up on a little bit of a hill, and it's actually got the guy lines on it, the guy wires or guy rope to hold it up there, understandably so, because you're going to get a little bit of wind resistance with this thing. And so you want to make sure that it's up there good.
One thing I would mention on this, on the construction of it, and I've read all the manuals on each of these antennas, is tuning each of these stubs, because you're going to get, just like a fan dipole or a fan vertical, you're going to get some interaction and coupling between the various elements. And it's going to take some patience and a good VNA or antenna analyzer to get this thing to perform to its optimum.
Right. I'm glad you said that, Tom, because I am one that lacks patience. And when I get into something like that, where I adjust one thing and it throws something else off, and then I have to go back and start readjusting and all to get it all together, I lose my patience. But I love the design of this antenna. And we'll say a little bit about the reviews on it and the performance in just a little bit. Tom, why don't you pick up the next one?
Hey, the next one is the DX Commander Classic. And this is a modern wire legend. Callum M0MCX took the concept of a multi-band fan dipole and turned it vertically on a heavy-duty telescoping fiberglass pole, which I like, because each band has its own dedicated wire element. There's no lossy traps. It's become a massive favorite in recent years for both permanent base and rapid portable deployments. This is the classic original version of the DX Commander antenna for 80 through 2 meters, and 6 meters, 4 meters if you're not in the ITU region, and 2 meters are not guaranteed. These bands are the results of harmonics on the longer elements. But it's rated for 1500 watts key down at 14 megahertz. This is exactly the same kit as the 40 meter product, but with an additional 100 meters of wire. The premium version includes everything you need to build this all-band vertical, including the new aluminum 5251 spec ground and driven plates. QRO and no ATU required.
Yeah, Callum has updated some of the parts in it, so they're a little more, they're a little less weather vulnerable, and which has been great, because he developed it and you put it out in the field, and then you find out if there are some things you need to upgrade, and he's done that. So it's really great to imagine this. And as portable, this is the one of the three that we said you could also set up portable. And even though it's used for a lot of so-called base station operations, at 1,500 watts, QRO on CW.
Right, I'm sorry.
With the DX10 wire.
Right. Just like the Gap Titan, this is a vertical fan antenna.
Yeah.
So each of those elements is going to have some codependence on its neighboring elements. So again, this is one where you need some patience and a good antenna analyzer,
right,
in order to get those set just where you want them.
And you can see here again, it's got the built-in little guy system to help hold that thing up. Tom, when you looked at the manual, the instruction manual for this one, is there anything that really grabbed you?
One thing they had mentioned, they upgraded the carabiners on that. Apparently they had carabiners that were made out of plastic that got brittle and snapped. So they had replaced the carabiners with aluminum, more rigid and sturdier carabiners. But other than that, it looked fairly straightforward. Again, this is an antenna that you're going to need some time and patience and possibly a helper to get it put together correctly.
Okay, the third antenna we're looking at, again, pricey but effective antenna, is the SteppIR, BigIR Mark IV. And as you can see right there on the slide, on the left side is what the antenna looks like. And the unit on the right is for the 80-meter version. Normally it would come with the 40-meter and higher frequency, but if you got 80, you've got a little bit bigger box on the bottom to run this thing. Now, it's such an intriguing design, Tom, very ingenious. It's 32 feet high, covers 40 meters to 6 meters, unless you get this other unit, and it uses what we call a SteppIR motor to adjust the length of an internal beryllium copper strip. So what's inside that box, or either box, if you use the 40-meter version, it's smaller, is like a tape. And it's copper stripping, and it's got holes punched in it, and it's got a little motor that will run that copper up and down inside the fiberglass that's sticking up to 32 feet. So you're basically adjusting it as a vertical up and down within the fiberglass. Very, very unique. And if you watched our video on the difference that the size of wire makes with HF antennas, you know that having a copper strip like that going up and down is really, really a good thing for it. And this is really set up to operate typically as a, depending on the band, as a quarter wave antenna or as a 3/4 wave antenna. Let's take a look at a couple more images here. This is pretty good from their manual, the double guy configuration. Why guy it? Again, it's 32 feet high, so that helps. And you can see down on the bottom there, the controller, and it's going up and down that copper within there. This requires radials. Mm-hmm. And I thought this is intriguing. K6JX. I found this image of his installation with the 40-meter and above version of it. And I didn't count the number of radials he's got down there, but he's got a snootful. Okay. So with that number of radials that he's got there, and with that thick copper going up and down for the vertical part of the antenna, that sucker probably gets out marvelously. Power rating on this one is 3,000 watts on 40 to 6 meters and 1,500 watts when the 80-meter coil is activated, and along with that bigger motor controller. Now, the controller is remote, Tom, so you have to run like you'd run a wire out, let's say, to a rotator. You run a wire out to the controller, and then you adjust it from within the shack and get that SteppIR perfect from within the shack. So there are a couple of extra things that you have to buy to go with this. It makes it, I believe, the most pricey of these three antennas. But on the other hand, it's a good one. So, Tom, look at this. I thought it would be interesting just to throw the EHAM reviews numbers in for all three antennas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So the Gap Titan DX has 197 reviews at 4.5. The DX Commander Classic we looked at has only 15 reviews, but 4.7. I'm sure it's more used than these other two antennas too. I don't know why more people haven't reviewed it. There are a lot of reviews on videos, but not on eHam. And then the SteppIR BigIR Mark IV IR is 51 reviews at 4.6. So the reviews look pretty good on all three of these. They are pricey, and consider that. And again, we said the DX Commander Classic, you can use that one portable too. So that's an advantage.
All right.
And I believe it's the cheapest of these three. So that's our take on it, gang. Anything else you want to say?
All right. I would suggest that anybody who's interested in any one of these three antennas or want to compare all three antennas to try to find the one that you want, I would go to the manufacturer's website and download the construction manual and see if you're both physically and possibly mentally fit to assemble them. Like I said, a lot of these are going to require some patience and a second person more than likely to put these things together. So try as best you can before you buy.
There you go. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Ham Radio Perspectives. We try to go where no one else goes, and sometimes we do it well, sometimes not so well. So give us some comments. If you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you have used any three of these antennas, we are depending on you to keep us honest, because we have not used them, by putting your comments down below. We only looked at others, but some of you we know have used these, and we'd love to hear from you. Ham Radio Perspectives. I'm Quinn, K8QS.
I'm Tom, WA9TDD.
7-3, everybody.